In this section we're going to look at waterline profiles. So we're now going to be at page 1-13 in our manual. Adding a waterline profile. So in our base plan DGN, under Water Sewer, I want to step up and grab the Profiles tool for water lines. So I'm going to select the Waterline Profile tool, which can be found under the Water Sewer pull-down menu, Profiles, Water, and in this case I'm going to use the Edit List. It will give me a list of all the water lines that I have in the project. I'm going to select one, in this case WL-3, and that's the one that I want to look at a profile for. So I click OK. I'll get an alert that says this profile has not been created, so yes, I will create it. Otherwise, if it had been created, it would simply just bring up this dialog called Edit Waterline Profile. So I'm going to edit the waterline profile WL-3. You can see we've got information on this first tab of the dialog called Registration. That sets up scale, scale of the profile, horizontal, vertical, if you want to exaggerate it. Registration point, that would be where do you want to plot this profile in your XY plane of your file. The stationing information, you can see it's calculated a beginning and ending station for the profile, and it's calculated a min-max elevation that you can adjust if you want. Also have several display options for drawing the pipe in profile, drawing the design surface in profile, drawing the original ground surface in profile, any crossings that I may have, drainage, sewer, miscellaneous utilities, how do those look in profile. Then we can get into a lot of information about the grid and labeling of the profile, labeling lines, elevations, so forth. So quite a lot of information for displaying a profile, and therefore we like to have this saved off as a preference that you can just recall again and again. So in our example, we want to open up a preference file. So I'm going to go File, Open, and from the Edit Waterline dialog, and all our preferences, which are standard from would hopefully be standard from user to user, that we store in our Data Geosite Standards folder. And I can see in there that I have a water profile.ppf or profile preference file. I also have a sewer and a drainage. So the same dialog that we're looking at now is the same dialog used to draw sewer profiles and drainage profiles. So I'm going to highlight water profile, click OK, and what that does is if now I look at the display tab or the grid and labels tab, several information has been turned on, and how I want to draw these has been set. So that type of information is saved into that preference file. So I'm going to open up another view in Power Civil, View Window 2. So click on View Window 2, and I'm going to establish the lower left corner or registration point for my profile. So I click the DP button, and I'll come over here into View 2 and I'll data point. You can set the registration point wherever you want. If I want to do a fit view and maybe then zoom out a little bit, I can data point somewhere closer to where my design is. Once you've established the data point, go ahead and click Apply. and then if necessary zoom in to the profile. Now you can see here that it's drawn it. I've got quite a lot of grid set up. Let me zoom really close in. So it might benefit me to maybe turn some of these grid lines off. And I want to do this to kind of show you how you make changes now. So in my Edit Waterline profile, I go to the Grid and Labels tab. And in this case, it's the vertical grid lines that are too many. So I highlight vertical grid, and I see that I have a minor interval set of 0.2. So I just go ahead and turn that off for now. Click Apply, and it redraws the profile. And I can see. So the display, I've got the top and bottom of the pipe, the center of the pipe, the green and red, that's original ground and design surface based on my project preferences. And of course I designed the water line based on a 4-foot depth below the design. And furthermore, if I zoom in to the middle of the profile, I can see I've got some crossings being plotted and some conflicts. So I can see the drainage is being brought in, and I'll turn on the labels and I'll zoom a little further in and see that storm pipe SS-2 is conflicting with my water line. So that's readily available, and I picked that up from my drainage. And same on the other side as well. So being able to tie this information into other aspects of the project that are going on, maybe at the same time that I'm designing the water and sewer. The last tab is the Pipe Profile tab, and this is where you can kind of draw your attention to the stationing, and you can see that it only has profile points every 50 feet. And you remember when we set the water line up, we set it up for a profile interval of 50. So that's why it only picked up elevation every 50 feet. And I can make changes to this information. I can delete points from here if I want. And we'll look at editing profiles in a later stage. So at this point we've looked at water lines, water nodes, and water profiles. Now we'll turn our attention to the sewer aspect and sewer lines, sewer nodes, and sewer profiles.